Hello, I'm teacher Ivan from WUNNA Educational Services, a teacher of mathematics and physics at Angel High School, Namaswa. In today's lesson, we shall be looking at volume. And under volume, we shall look at the definition of volume, we shall look at the units of volume, we shall look at the instruments that we use to measure volume, we shall look at how to convert units of volume, and finally, we shall look at how we determine volume of different substances. So please, be firm, get ready, and move through the journey of volume. To start with is the definition. Volume is defined as the amount of space occupied by any object. When you pour water in the cup, that space that water has occupied in the cup is its volume. When you sit on a chair, the space that you occupy on that chair is your volume. Volume is measured in cubic meters as the SI unit. However, we also have other units of volume, which include cubic kilometers, cubic hectometers, cubic decameters, cubic decimeters, cubic centimeters, cubic millimeters, and liters. Among others, those are the commonly used units of volume. Then, since we can get volume of different substances, therefore, we need to get the instruments that can give us accurate values of volume. Among the instruments that we use in the laboratory, we have the pipettes, we have the burettes, we have the volumetric flasks, we have the calibrated beakers, we have the calibrated test tubes, we have conical flasks, we have measuring cylinders. Those are the commonly used apparatuses in getting volume in a physics laboratory. Then, let us look at the conversion of units of volume. Since we've seen that the SI unit of volume is cubic meters, however, we have other units, and therefore, that means that we can convert from one unit to another. Let's see how we do that. Since we've seen that 1 kilometer is equivalent to 1,000 meters. 1 kilometer is equivalent to 1,000 meters. What about 1 kilometer cubed? Remember, volume is measured in cubic units. So that means that to get kilometer cubed, I'll multiply this 3 times. That is 1 kilometer times 1 kilometer times 1 kilometer. I'll also multiply this side 3 times. That is 1,000 meters times 1,000 meters times 1,000 meters. So that gives me 1 kilometer cubed equaling to 1 billion cubic meters. So, meaning that if I would convert from kilometer cubed to meter cubed, I'll multiply my value by 1 billion in order to convert it from kilometer cubed to meter cubed. Then, what if I'm converting it from meter cubed to kilometer cubed? let's see, since 1 billion meter cubed is equal to 1 kilometer cubed, what about 1 meter cubed? We shall divide by 1 billion on both sides, and we shall end up with 1 meter cubed being equal to 1 over 1 billion over 1 billion kilometer cubed. And that means that if I'm to convert from from meter cubed to kilometer cubed, I'll divide my values by 1 billion. We also have 1 meter being equivalent to 100 centimeters. So if 1 meter equals to 100 centimeters, what about 1 meter cubed? That means that we shall multiply this side 3 times to give us 1 meter times 1 meter times 1 meter. The same applies to the other side, where we shall have 100 centimeters times 100 centimeters times 100 centimeters. So that gives me 1 meter cubed being equivalent to 1 million centimeter cubed. So if I'm to convert from meter cubed to centimeter cubed, I'll multiply my values by 1 million. What if I'm to convert from centimeter cubed to meter cubed? I'll divide my values by 1 million. Remember, the principle is when I'm converting from bigger units to smaller units, I multiply. And when I'm converting from smaller units to bigger units, I divide. And therefore, that means that 1 centimeter cubed is equivalent to 1 over 1 million meter cubed. That's what it means. Let us look at more conversions. Let us look at now how do we convert liters to cubic centimeters and to cubic meters. So 1 liter is equivalent to 1,000 cubic centimeters. What about cubic meters? Remember, we've seen that 1 meter cubed is equivalent to 1 million centimeters cubed. So since 1 cubic meter is equal to 1 million cubic centimeter, then what's the equivalence of 1 cubic meter in terms of liters? So this is the same as saying that 1 meter cubed is the same as 1,000 times 1,000. This is in centimeter cubed. But remember, 1 liter is equivalent to 1,000 centimeter cubed, meaning that I'll replace 1,000 with 1 liter. And therefore, I'll end up with 1 meter cubed being equal to 1,000 liters. So that is how we shall convert from meter cubed to liters. Otherwise, for more knowledge and more examples concerning conversion of units of volume, go to our playlist on our YouTube channel, that is WUNNA e-learning platform. go to the playlist, go to Senior 1 Physics Calculations. You go through and see conversion of units of volume. Start from there and enjoy the lesson. However, let's come back. We are left with one part, that is determining volume for different substances. We have solids, we have liquids, we have gases. Solids are, however, categorized into two. We have the regular shaped solids, those that have definite shapes, and irregular solids, those without definite or with indefinite shapes, like the stones. So let us start with the volume of a regular solid. Since it is regular, it means that it has a specific shape. And therefore, to get the volume, we shall first of all use a suitable instrument and measure its dimensions. That is maybe the length, width, and height, or the radius, depending on the shape. After measuring the dimensions, we use an appropriate formula for volume and get its volume. That is for a regular shaped solid. Then for an irregular shaped solid like a stone, we get the volume using two methods. We shall use the displacement method, where we pour water in a measuring cylinder and note the initial volume, and then carefully, completely immerse our solid using a thread into the water, and automatically the water level will rise, and we shall read and record the new volume. And now the difference gives us the volume of the solid. That is using displacement method. The other method is the overflow can or the Eureka can. Now, I'm giving you task. You research on how we determine volume of an irregular object using the Eureka can. Before I go to liquids, there is something I want to give you on irregular solids. Sometimes we have floating objects, those that float on water, and therefore we cannot use the displacement method because they cannot sink. And in that case, we shall use what we call a sinker. A sinker is anything that sinks in water. It can be a small piece of metal. And in that way, we shall tie a sinker together with our floating object and immerse them. And after, we shall also completely immerse the sinker alone. And the difference gives us the volume of the floating object. We come to volume of a liquid. The volume of a liquid is simply determined by pouring the liquid in a clean, dry measuring cylinder. And since it is already calculated, where the level of the liquid stops gives us the volume. So we just read the readings of the level of the liquid. Then for volume of air, we shall consider an empty measuring cylinder. If it is dry and empty, it means that it is filled with air. So when we pour water in that dry, empty measuring cylinder, the water is displacing the air and taking up the space of the air. And remember, volume is the amount of space occupied by an object. Meaning that now the volume of the water will be equal to the volume of the air displaced. That is it. Otherwise, I'm teacher Ivan from WUNNA Educational Services, a teacher of physics and mathematics at Angel High School, Namasuba. Angel High School, Namasuba is near Total Petrol Station, Namasuba, as you go to Entebbe Road. Please join us and we excel in sciences together. Otherwise, we also have platforms all over the social media apps. Search for WUNNA Educational Services on each and every app. We also have platforms for Angel High School, Namasuba. Visit them so that we learn together. Bye-bye.